I'm Yael Teagle, and it is with great honor and pleasure to introduce the Ians. Can we get some applause going for the Ians? Come on out, guys. Join me.
Are you putting me in here?
Yes, you're old.
Sit down. Thank you.
Welcome.
Hello.
We are so excited
Hello.
to have you here.
Thank you. We're delighted to be here.
I know that everyone has lots of questions, so we have 2 microphones ready for you to cue. But before we do that, I have some questions.
Yeah.
I know that you can't tell us anything that you may or may not know, but I want to know where you think the show is going and who you think will end up on the throne.
Okay, well, first of all, I don't know I didn't know anything about season 6. I don't know anything about the current season they're filming. I really don't. And I never read any of the tweets about potential spoilers because I hate spoilers. I absolutely hate them. So I never read any of the tweets. I don't want to know. If any of you guys know anything, don't tell me, okay? I have no idea where it's going. I used to think, yeah, you know what, I can see Jon Snow or I can see Daenerys. I can see Bran there somewhere. As Ian always used to say, it started with Bran going out the tower. That's where it all started to go wrong. But I literally have no idea where it's going now. And that, to me, that's wonderful. That's the genius of their storytelling. No idea.
Yeah, I do feel it started with the Starks, so it should end with the Starks. So Bran's a possibility. Jon Snow is definitely a possibility. I'm beginning to doubt, actually, that Daenerys is going to be the ruler. I don't know why. It's just a hunch I have. I'm beginning to doubt it. He might decide there's no simple way to end it, so he might decide to get rid of everybody and just have a dirty, great big nuclear war, Holocaust. But, you know, if you're to end it with somebody where most of us would say, fair enough, I'm happy with that ending, I don't know how it'd be possible, but you would kind of like it to be Tyrion, wouldn't you? You'd kind of like to be able to say at the end, yeah, good call, Tyrion, good guy, you know, we could all get behind him. But at the moment, unless we discover that Tyrion's parentage isn't what we think it is, at the moment we don't know where Tyrion will fit into the picture. So watch this space.
I would like to see Tyrion survive to the end. I mean, that's, if they kill Tyrion before the end, I'm not speaking to them again, I promise you. Because I do feel that no matter who is on the Iron Throne, if Tyrion is there advising them, then they can't go far wrong. I'd like to see Tyrion there at the end.
Do you think it's possible that we will end up with someone we hate on the Iron Throne?
No.
Okay, good. That's something that, concerns me.
Most of them are dead, to be fair. I mean, you know, half of them that were absolutely horrible are now dead. I mean, you know. Sorry, which reminds me, hands up who hasn't seen season 6. You, get out.
Yes.
We can't talk about the show. I thought that season 6 was the best season so far. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I thought episode 9 is the best thing I've ever seen on television, ever. It was just the most stunning piece of television. But again, in season 6, we had a couple of people that we didn't like very much disappearing, so I was very pleased to see the back of them. I can't see anybody awful being on the throne for long.
I was talking to somebody about this earlier. They actually dared to come dressed as Littlefinger. I dislike the fact that Littlefinger's still hanging about. And I'm hopeful that sometime in the near future, Littlefinger will disappear. He's the only one that worries me as a potential baddie who could somehow end up still being there. But I think if there's any justice, at some point, Littlefinger's going to have to get it.
Is there anyone that concerns you about still being alive?
Speaking as my favorite character in the show, and it's not necessarily a character you have to like, it's a character that you can't wait to see them on screen again. So therefore, my favorite character is Cersei Lannister. I absolutely love Cersei Lannister. I think it's just an incredibly good character. It really worries me that she's taken the Iron Throne. That really, really worries me.
It can't happen. It can't happen. I would break the TV if that happened. I would.
No, I mean, we're pretty certain it's not going to happen. I mean, but it's a very, very dangerous thing she has done to actually take the Iron Throne for herself. And what made it worse was the look on Jaime's face when he kind of arrived in, and there she was, queen, because Jaime has a habit of killing bad kings on the Iron Throne, so that really worried me as well.
Is that what you think is going to happen in the next season? Jaime's going to kill Cersei? You heard it here first?
There's a really interesting scenario. Remember this. Cersei and Jaime in the bedroom at Winterfell, and Bran's pushed out the window. Very last, very end of this series, Cersei, Jaime, and Bran. Cersei is killed by Jaime so that Bran can ascend to the throne and Jaime becomes head of the King's Guard. What about that?
No, because Jaime, in a previous episode, we're talking theories here, Jaime was asked, where do you want to die? And he said, in the arms of the woman I love.
Yeah, but the great thing about Jaime is he's a character on the way to redemption. And if he's to be properly redeemed, somehow or another he's got to shake himself loose from her.
Ian, if you think this is a happy ending, you haven't been paying attention.
But I want happy endings.
So please you both, I feel like Jaime could kill Cersei and then kill himself in her arms, very Romeo and Juliet.
Yep.
Look at
That's what I unfortunately see happening. I don't know. I have no idea where it's going. I do also remember that at the end of season 4, that Bran asked the three-eyed raven, will I walk again? And the three-eyed raven said, no, but you will fly. And I think Bran's going to take the dragons.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I love this. If you have fan theories or questions that are relevant also, you can stand up and we will take all of your questions. We have plenty of time to hear your theories. Please queue up as we continue. All right.
Yeah, what you got to understand is that we are a couple of fantasists, so, pay no attention to our theories.
I think we have a question over here. Hold on, they'll turn that on.
All right.
Nope, microphone's on.
I'm not hearing anything at the moment.
Have we got a microphone?
Come on up here and just ask us the
Yeah,
question.
come on up.
Yeah.
Hello.
Come on up.
Oh, I have a wandering mic. I'm just gonna get up.
Hey.
I know how this works.
Ask your question, Sean.
I know this gets asked at pretty much every con, but what's your favourite moment from the show? I'm sure you've got one.
Favorite moment from the show?
Right. That's a tough one. Up until now, it changes with every season, I suppose.
Yeah.
For me, and it's not a favourite moment, I suppose. The favourite episode was episode 9, The Battle of the Bastards, which I honestly thought was the best thing I've ever seen on television. From start to finish, it was absolutely stunning. The favourite moment, the one that hit me the most, and the one that I regard to be absolute genius storytelling, Hold the Door.
Yeah.
Just brilliant.
I've always thought the big moment, the biggest moment of all was the Red Wedding. It's very shocking. And at the time that it came, I think it was very shocking because none of us saw anything on that scale as being in the, likely to happen. So that was very shocking. But I kind of agree. It was very touching, the whole Hodor scene, and sort of said a lot about that character that we didn't know beforehand. It was very affecting, and it That was
Oh,
touching, you know. I mean, you like a little bit of... But what I liked about it was personal emotion rather than, you know what I mean? It was a very particular thing rather than a big scale thing.
Yeah.
I like that, you know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I think they fixed the mic.
Are we back in business down there with the mic?
Microphone
Yeah?
should be fixed. Do we have any other questions? Do you have a favorite scene that you were in?
Well, for me, my personal favorite, I suppose, has to be throwing the sword at Joffrey. You know, I just enjoyed sort of, you know, because I didn't like Joffrey and I didn't like Cersei, and I certainly didn't want to serve under them. So being given an excuse, if you like, to say, I'm getting out of here and disappearing, I was grateful for that. So it was fun to do that scene, especially in the knowledge that I wasn't leaving the show at that stage. I knew I was coming back, but at a later point to join Daenerys' camp. So certainly from a personal point of view, that was the scene I probably enjoyed most. And I enjoyed the fight because eventually I got round to having a fight, because for so long I was supposedly the finest sword in Westeros, but I never fought. I lived entirely on my laurels, you know, so it was quite nice to actually have a fight. I would have preferred it if I could have had a fight and won it, you know, and probably died at a later point. But anyway, you know, it was good to have a decent exit, so that was fun to do as well.
When you were shooting it, did you try to win the fight? Did you ruin the choreography to try
Well,
to win?
no. I knew I had to abide by the choreography. I mean, that choreography was actually in two halves, if you like. There was, I don't know, the first full half of it, I was definitely winning and carving people up. And then there came a point where I got pushed against the wall, and from then on, they had the upper hand. So, you know, even at the end of that, I thought, if they don't see me dead, I might still survive this. But at the very beginning of the next episode, they have me lying dead on the bier in the throne room, so that definitely put pay to that.
Yeah, the rule is if there's no body, the person's not dead.
Yeah, anything is
Unfortunately,
possible.
there was a body.
Yeah.
Ian, do you have a favorite scene you were in?
For me, I probably enjoyed Tyrion's trial. It was a great few days filming. It took us 4 days to film that one scene, and it was a lot of great fun on set, good crack. But I really enjoyed that scene. I enjoyed the way it was shot, and Peter's performance in that scene, especially at the end of the scene, was just, I mean, you were just sitting watching him. I wasn't even in character. I was just like, isn't this great? Look at this. He's brilliant. It was just brilliant. Really enjoyed that.
We have a question. Hello.
Hello.
Hi. You spoke about Littlefinger being bad, and you also talked about the Battle of Bastards. So, do you think Sansa Stark turned bad because she learned from the worst?
Ooh. Do you think that Sansa Stark will turn bad because she's learned from the worst, like Littlefinger and the Bastards? Excellent question.
I do think Sansa has a lot of reasons to be dark and twisted, but I think it's very important that, Littlefinger fulfilled his purpose. Littlefinger saved the Starks at that battle, and without his intervention, Ramsay Bolton would have won that battle. In fact, he had the battle pretty much won until Littlefinger intervened. I don't think Sansa is going to turn any darker than she already is. I think Jon is now back in a position of influence with Sansa. I think that's going to be very important. I'm surprised Sansa isn't in a darker place than she is, considering what has happened to her. It always worried me, for example, how dark a place Arya has gone to. But I think Jon's influence, at the moment, I think Jon's influence on Sansa will be for the good. And I can't see her going any further down a dark path.
Yeah, I would agree with that, but I'm really impressed by the way that character has changed over time. She's grown so strong, she's got such self-belief and such conviction and such ability to govern that it's impressive. I mean, it's kind of impressive the way so many of the women characters in this series, and I think that's a big part of its appeal, have grown into the roles that they've assumed and really demonstrated that they are fit for purpose, if you like. And she's really demonstrated that. She's become a really powerful and effective sort of character now. I would hope, and I think, like Ian, that it won't happen. I would hope that she will remain on the positive side of things and not get negative. She's a Stark after all, and I think essentially the Starks are, perhaps I'm just being sort of a bit sentimental here, I think they're good people at heart, you know.
There is one thing that worries me about Sansa, and it's something that I've heard other fans talking about as a theory, and it really terrifies me. What if she's pregnant to Ramsay Bolton?
No,
That would worry me.
No,
I hope that does not come to pass.
yeah. They wouldn't want to go down that road.
No.
We have another question.
From your personal experience being in the show, do you get that we'll get to see Jon Snow and Daenerys Targaryen actually sharing the throne in the end?
Ooh, do you think that Jon Snow and Daenerys will share the throne in the end?
I honestly have no idea. I don't think two people can sit on the throne. It has to be one or the other, and from what I see. So it'll be someone sitting on the throne and somebody standing beside them, whoever it is. We now know, and we've had it confirmed, the favourite fan theory for many years, we now know exactly who Jon's parents are. And we now know that Jon and Daenerys are related. So I still see just one person sitting on the throne. Whoever it is, it could be that they could rule together, but I think that's not how Westeros works. I think it can only be one person on the throne. And between the two of them, I have no idea. I have no idea.
Seniority would have to play a part there, and Daenerys is a sister of Rhaegar. So in theory, it would fall to her first, in theory. And since she has no children living, then it could probably go to Jon Snow. Could they marry? What are the laws of incest or whatever?
Oh, I don't think there are any laws whatsoever. I just think they make it up as they go along, to be perfectly honest with you.
So, I mean, I suppose they could get married, but again, if they got married, which one of them should govern? I don't know.
As far as I remember in previous conversations, the Targaryens did have a history of marrying each other.
Oh, well, there you go.
To keep the bloodlines pure. Because I think Cersei Lannister used that in her defense whenever she was sleeping with Jaime.
You think it's possible that Tyrion could turn out to be a Targaryen?
No.
Why not?
Because, well, Tywin saw him born. I remember that absolutely horrible, heartbreaking scene when Tywin was talking to Tyrion about getting ready to carry him into the sea when he was born and letting him float away as a baby because he killed his wife in childbirth.
Yeah.
And the only reason why he didn't do it is because you're a Lannister. So I can't see how Tyrion could possibly be a Targaryen. This was in Casterly Rock. There's no mention of any Targaryens visiting
No, it's probably
Casterly
me
Rock.
just being fanciful, but wasn't Tywin at one point King's Hand to Aerys?
No.
Was he never?
Yes?
The
Thank you.
audience says yes.
Really? Was he?
Yeah, so, you know,
Also, you can't prove who the
listen, this is the great thing. It's a great big sort of box of goodies. Anything is possible.
Okay.
We have another question. Make it to the mic.
Hello?
Hello.
I was wondering, in season 6, episode 3, when Bran was having a vision about Ned Stark meeting with Lyanna in the tower, what did Lyanna whisper to Ned before she died?
Sorry, repeat that last bit, please.
What did Lyanna whisper to Ned before she died?
What was whispered to Ned before Lyanna died?
I presume, I don't know.
Jon Snow not being bastard.
I'm guessing that she was telling Ned who the father was. I'm guessing that. I'm guessing she was telling Ned that Rhaegar was the father, which is why Robert was going to kill the child, because he was Rhaegar's son.
Yeah, because he's not Ned's son.
No, he was never Ned's son. And that, to me, was the biggest tragedy between Ned and Catelyn Stark, that Catelyn never found out that Ned did not betray her. And she always believed it. Right up until the day she died, she believed Ned betrayed her. Yeah. And to me, one of the greatest, saddest tragedies was that she never found out that Ned did not.
He couldn't have told her anyways.
No. But I believe, I think we'll be told. I think it will be revealed what was whispered. I don't know when, but I think it will be revealed, because I would love to know what she said to him.
Yeah, because it was said that Jon was the king, the bastard king in the north. So he wouldn't be a bastard anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good question.
Yeah, I feel like it has to be revealed in the next season, seeing as how I believe we have one more season.
Yeah.
That is
Two.
split. It's one season split.
It's one
in half?
season split into two
two
seasons.
short
Yeah.
seasons.
A season-ish.
Yeah.
We
It's
have a
seven episodes next year, this year coming, and 6 episodes for the last
year
season.
after, yeah.
Because David and Dan told HBO that they needed exactly 13 hours to finish it. And how they are honestly genius storytellers. They know exactly how long they needed to end this show, to finish this storyline. And HBO asked them, well, can you split it into 2? Can you do 7 and 6? And they said, yes, okay. But they knew they needed exactly 13 hours to finish it. That's pretty good going.
Great, yeah.
Now that the children of the forest are dead and supposedly the magic that keeps the Night Walkers away from the wall is gone, do you think there's ever going to be a point where all the families, like enemies and friends, all have to unite against, and there's going to be kind of like a dragon versus zombies big fight? Do you think that is a possibility, that everyone kind of gets together against a common enemy?
Well, I think it's inevitable. One of the geniuses of George Martin's storytelling is that, you know, he shows these squabbling kingdoms, and then he shows, look, you know, whatever you guys are doing here, you're not seeing what's going to kill you all. It's a very good allegory for this planet and the way mankind and humankind is treating this planet. Everybody's worried about their own little countries and their own little wars and their own little oil fields. And we're threatening everybody's existence by the way we treat our own planet. So yes, I do think that's inevitable. Sir Davos said it perfectly. The dead are coming. They're on their way. And we all have to fight them. I think that the dragons are going to be hugely important in the fight that is to come. And I think it's coming. I'm as sure as I can be that it's coming. Because I do think the wall will fall. I've always thought the wall will fall, or they will get through it, or they will get over it, or somehow the White Walkers are coming. And I think the dragons are going to be very, very important in that final battle. But yes, I absolutely think that whoever is left will have to band together to fight this threat that affects everybody. Or maybe the White Walkers will win.
No.
Maybe that's how it ends.
No.
They end up on the Iron Throne.
No, the White Walkers won't win. I do know, and this may influence this a bit, that they are going to film a lot in Iceland in this coming season. And they actually started to shoot later than normal because they're going to shoot through Christmas into the new year. And most of that, I think, is going to be in Iceland. So there's obviously a very big story coming up with the White Walkers. But yeah. I would anticipate that in this season 7, the 7-episode season, that's when that will be resolved. And I think it will be resolved. I think they will, whether the wall stands or not, who knows, but I think they will defeat the White Walkers. But I think it's going to be, it could go on over several episodes, this one, you know what I mean?
I must say, I think they're saving the White Walkers till near the end.
Do you?
Yes, I think the White Walkers, that storyline, whatever's going to happen with it, will not happen this season coming, but they'll save that one for next season.
You think that who's on the throne of Westeros could well be decided before the final battle, which will be with the White Walkers?
I didn't say that.
No, I'm positive that.
I'm saying that the White Walkers will be dealt with in the last season, and whoever sits on the throne will be dependent on how the White Walkers are dealt with.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Because I still think that Bran's going to take the dragons.
Yeah. Or unite with them.
Or unite with them. Or unite with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. I mean,
So, honestly, I do think the White Walkers, they all have to band together, or everybody will lose. Everybody will lose. It's great, isn't it? You just don't know what's going to happen next. It's brilliant. It's absolutely genius storytelling.
limitless possibilities.
And it gives you so many possibilities. And the genius of the show is just when you think, yeah, they killed him. Right, okay, that theory's gone. Let's think of something else now. It's one of the geniuses of the show. I remember reading after Hold the Door that was one of George Martin's twists. Apparently George has 3 twists still to come. And one of them was Hold the Door. Yeah. So there are 2 major twists still to come. It's driving me insane.
What you want to do now is start looking at all the names and seeing how many other names, if any other names, have got a similar kind of conundrum in them. You know what I mean?
You could have figured out Hodor was Hold the Door?
Yeah.
You could have figured that out?
No, I couldn't figure it
that's
out.
crazy.
Not until the moment they revealed it. Not until the moment they revealed it and the way they revealed it.
Yeah.
Because it was Bran being in his vision and seeing the young Wilfs that caused him to have the seizure that started him. I mean, it was genius. Yeah. Genius storytelling.
I was on the verge of tears.
So my question is, now that the show has overtaken the books, how closely do you think the endings will be in the books and the show? Will they be identical, or will they have differences that are small or large?
I was talking to somebody earlier on this morning saying that I felt, that's why I'm dying for number 6 to come out. I'm getting so fed up with George that he hasn't got round to publishing it yet. But I was saying that I thought it's very likely that the stories, the book and the series will diverge quite a lot, but that they will end up in the same place. And he was saying to me, and I really like this, that he would kind of hope that they didn't. That, George did his thing and ended up wherever George was going in the first place, and that he didn't mind, and he wouldn't be surprised if, the series went to a different place, and simply because it's governed by, if you like, series rules, the different kinds of storytelling. And I never thought of that. I always assumed that somehow or another they would arrive at the same point. And it's interesting to sort of like try and imagine, well, if they were to end up in different places, what would that be like? I just thought that the journey would be different, and I think it will be different.
Ian has, by the way, read the books. I haven't. I have them all. Actually, I have about 3 or 4 copies of each one of them. And I said this to George Martin, that I had all his books, but that I wasn't going to start reading them until he was about to publish book 7, because I wasn't doing Harry Potter again. Never again. Am I going to wait 2 years for a book to come out? So I was waiting until he had sort of got substantially through book 7 before I was going to start reading them. I think I'll change my mind on that.
We know for a fact that he said, he did say at the very beginning, for him there are 7 books.
7 books, yeah. So I think I'll break that promise. I think as soon as book 6 is released, I'll probably start reading them. It's my understanding of the books that they are and have been, especially more recently, quite different to the television show. And there's a reason for that. You cannot film one of George Martin's books in its entirety. If you did, you would have 24, 25 episodes a season, and some of those episodes wouldn't be as good as others. That's the nature of television. But to me, both of them stand alone. I'm happy that the television show stands on its own merits, and the books, they stand on their own merits. And I think you can take pleasure from both or either. That there doesn't have to be this battle between people who are purists for the books and people who love the TV show, that they can both stand on their own merits. Like Ian, I do see, although there has been, and I've heard from various people who have read the books, that there has been a divergence. I do think at the end, the story, they'll meet at the end. I do believe that. I believe that what George sees as the end of the story, David and Dan will see that as well in the TV show. That's my own opinion.
Thank you. Yes.
So last season we saw Bran start to influence the past with calling out to his father at the tower, and then later on with the whole Hodor thing. Do you think that could affect something in the future, or that it's a bootstrap paradox in that what he does can only affect what has already happened?
Yes, I think you're right in that what he does can only affect what already has happened. So therefore there was an inevitability that Hodor was going to die that way and that Bran was going to go into that vision. I think I hope Bran will have learned his lesson from going into that vision. He will have hopefully learned his lesson and he won't make the same mistake again. But yeah, your point that he can only affect what already has happened, even though it was him that made it happen, that will continue in that way. That he can only, Hodor became Hodor because Bran went into the past. So if there's something else that's going to happen along those lines, then there's an inevitability that it will happen because it's part of the story.
Of those who are contenders, if you like, for the throne, Bran is actually the only one who has in himself special powers. The others may have, dragons or whatever that have special powers, but he himself has special powers, which does make it seem even more probable to me that he's going to feature very significantly come the end. And I kind of think there's some sort of justice in that because, as I say, in some ways the whole story kicked off with his being pushed out that window.
You are dead set on Bran taking the throne.
I'm not dead set on, listen, I'm not dead set on anything.
You can't be dead set on Game of Thrones.
But I can't help but feel that there's definitely a strong possibility that he's going to feature very significantly before it's over.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Yes.
Hi. Now that you're no longer on Game of Thrones, what's it kind of like looking from an outside perspective in it? Like, do you still see all the other cast members and do you still hear stuff from the set, or are you still kind of away from all of it and in your own world?
For me, the only good thing about not being in Game of Thrones anymore, the only good thing, is that I don't know what's going to happen next. Because when you're on set, you'll be part of a storyline where, oh, that happens. Oh, right. What are you doing? Oh, is that what? And now that I am not part of Game of Thrones, I'm like every other fan. Can't wait for the next season. Can't wait for the next episode. Can't wait for the next twist. But it's the only good thing about not being part of it anymore.
Yeah, you're first of all, your mates on it, they're duty bound not to tell you, so you're not going to hear any tidbits that you shouldn't. But it's a funny thing, like Ian, I'm sorry not to be part of it anymore because it was a great thing to be part of, but equally, when you've been involved in something and it's over, it's better for you nearly to just walk away. Let them get on with it and you get on with whatever it is you're doing next. So, although they're filming when we're in Belfast, they could be literally filming down the road in Belfast, neither of us is probably likely to turn up and see what's going on or whatever. It's like, that happened then, it's history, move on, get on with the next thing. Yeah. So we're not, except, as Ian says, as sort of viewers, we're not kind of like, we're not on any inside track, and in a funny sort of way, don't want to be. You know what I mean?
You didn't want to know the Hodor twist before
No.
Wouldn't
No,
have seen-
because
didn't see it coming.
you know,
that's the great thing about it. You didn't
It's
see
why,
it
it's
coming.
why I never understand anybody who's a genuine fan of this show wanting to spoil it for other people. I don't understand that. If you're a real fan of this show, if you love this show as much as I do, and believe me, I love this show, whenever you see something like Hold the Door, when you see that episode and you see that moment and how they've created that moment, and it blew me away. It reduced me to tears completely. Absolutely broke my heart. But just looking at that show, God, that was brilliant. You don't want to go and say to someone, oh, listen here, come here, I'll tell you what happens here. Because you want them to experience what you have just experienced. I genuinely don't understand people who issue spoilers. To me, it's like destroying your pleasure. I really don't understand it, and it drives me completely insane. It really does. I hate spoilers.
And let me tell you a spoiler.
Good.
What do I know? I got nothing. Oh, this one, yes. Hello. Nope, that mic's not working.
Go you over there.
Run, run. We're just going to watch you run now.
You said you've been watching it. Have you rewatched the first series and seen something that where you watched it while you were acting, it wasn't as it came out on telly kind of thing and shocked you?
Can you ask again closer to the microphone?
A wee bit
please?
louder.
When you rewatch something, has it shocked you more than when you were actually playing the part?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen The Red Wedding 3 times now. Because every time a new season comes out, I go back at least 2 seasons. That's exactly what I do. I refresh my memory. And it's amazing because when you see something the second time around, maybe something's been referred to in season 1 that gets revealed in season 3 and you went, oh yes, now I get it. You pick up so much more rewatching it. Again, one more part of the genius of the storytelling of this show. But no, I've watched The Red Wedding 3 times and it's still just as shocking as the first time. I'm still there going,
Every time we watch Joffrey, we always forget that he is that bad kind of thing.
the thing about Joffrey was Jack Gleeson was such an angel in real life. He's just gorgeous. I was really sorry to see Joffrey go because he was such an incredibly good bad guy. He's one of the best bad guys in the history of television. He was wonderful. And Jack was so good at it. And Jack and I became great friends during our time on Thrones together. And I really missed him. I really, really missed him. So I was actually really sorry to see Joffrey go.
You know, one of the worst things in some ways about being an actor is that over time, you probably find it harder than most people to suspend your disbelief because you know the mechanics of how the thing was made. And that's sort of frustrating. But, I mean, even in theater, you know, the same applies. I love the fact still that I can go in and look at a set. And I may well know that, you know, behind that facade, there's a bunch of things propping it up. There's a bunch of weights holding up the props and that there's nothing except facade. But I still love to believe the place is real. And I have to say, the great thing about the Game of Thrones sets when you walk through them is they feel real. They're just so wonderfully done. But it is harder and harder, inevitably, for the likes of us to be able to kind of like stay in a state of, you know, suspended disbelief, if you like, you know, which is a shame in a way.
All right, our last question. No pressure. Make it a good one.
Okay.
Impress me.
Not going to happen. But I've got a different question though. I'm not one to read the gossips and the theories and everything, and I was really surprised to see the Hound return, actually. And I was just wondering what your vision was on that. And if I was the only one who was surprised.
I was delighted to see him return. You know, whenever they had that fight, I thought neither of these should lose this fight. And I remember at the time thinking, we didn't see him die. We saw him sort of like slide down the slope or whatever it was, but we didn't actually see him die. I'm sure he's coming back. And I was beginning to wonder because it was quite a while, but I was delighted to see him come back, and especially to come back with the bunches of vengeance that he came back with. So, no, that's great. It's great to see him back.
I'd actually heard from a fan who had read the books and who had told me that there was a character that she thought was the Hound, down by the river, limping, hooded up and cloaked. So I wasn't that surprised to see the Hound come back. Plus, I've known Rory McCann since we did Oliver Stone's Alexander together about 13 years ago. And I knew he was coming to Belfast, so I knew he was coming back. I was delighted to see his character back. I think that character has such an incredible story arc. I think the Hound has been he's been one of those characters that the fans just absolutely love. Gregor Clegane is still about. I don't know whether you could say he's alive or not, but he's still there. And at some point, I always thought the two brothers would face off. I still do. I certainly hope so.
Yeah. No,
so I was delighted to see the Hound back as well.
There's definitely a story to be completed there, for sure. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. Everyone, thank you for coming. Make sure you check your guides. We have more panels. They're doing autographs and photos all weekend. I'm Yael Teagle. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, guys.